Today we want to really share with you like what's the best way, yeah, to actually improve in 6 months. Hi Zayden. All right, good to see you here. Okay, so let me share the science part first. Okay, so the very important thing, and I always share this because I can't share enough, but parents, you need to know the total number of topics that your child is being tested. So this is the total number of topics. There are 32 actually in all, and lower block, upper block. But if your child is in P3, P4, parents, if your child is in P3, P4, please forget this upper block, lower block, okay? It will change, and there's changes in also the topic. Cells will no longer be tested, okay? But the primary 5 and primary 6, this remains relevant, right? Okay, so you need to be pay attention more to systems, interactions, and energy, all right? Because they are the what I call very content-heavy teams, right? So the content-heavy teams are this, and you can see that even these topics are not easy. Yes, they're also more difficult. So if you have a primary 6 child, your child is likely to be in forces, learning forces, or maybe starting in interactions within the environment, okay? Very soon, the school should be able to cover these interactions within the environment, which is actually the largest topic in the entire primary 6, the largest, because it has 5 subtopics. So when you hear your children telling you, Mommy, I'm learning interactions, or Daddy, I'm learning interactions within the environment, please tell them, oh, so shall we read the book together? You know, shall we sit down together and go through it? Because it's a very big topic, okay? All right, and this is actually the exam format that we're all familiar, 28 MCQ, 12 open-ended, 1 hour, 45 minutes. But what many parents may not be aware, and children, is this assessment objective. Okay, so, I mean, at the end, we're all sitting for PSLE, so we must know the objectives very well, okay? So number 1 is 40% of the question, 40% is on knowledge with understanding, which is just basically very basic MCQ, you know, straight to the point, short answers, knowledge-based questions. Okay, so your child must have strong content knowledge. And that's why when many parents ask me, right, Teacher Joe, how does my child do well? I will always check in and say, does the child have strong content knowledge? Now, how do you know that your child has strong content knowledge? That is money, okay? If your child is scoring 80 and above, generally your child has strong content knowledge, 80 and above, all right? Sometimes your child may demonstrate what I call sufficient content, but because you are not teachers, and if you probe deeper, all right, you ask more questions, you will realize that sometimes they may only know the superficial, but the deeper content, right? Okay, how do you know deeper? You for example, let's say you ask your child, okay, boy, name me the characteristics of wind pollinated flower. Okay, so when they are listing, okay, then they will say, oh, then how about I see this flower? The flower has a pink petals, but then the stigma and the style is outside. Then is it wind or animal? So how do you know whether your child has strong content knowledge? Is where you give certain examples, and then after that, right, you see whether your child can apply. Okay, so that's one way. So usually you have to ask more questions. Okay. Now the second one is application of knowledge and process skills. Now this is where the 60% of PSLE is being tested, and your child needs to have answering technique and know different types of questions, and have the right process skill, and also have a strong foundation of keywords. This is hard, all right? And on top of it, all right, your child must have question analysis skills strong. I love what this parent asked. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this parent asked, an article came out to say that keywords are no longer needed as long as they show they understand the concept using their own words. Okay, so parents, I'm sure you all know that recently the newspaper has been pushing out a lot of articles, right? Okay, so they did not say that keywords are not needed. Okay, so if you read the articles carefully, they didn't say that keywords are not needed. It is still good to have keywords, because the markers, when they mark the answer key, right, the keywords are also underlined, right? So it is actually easier, of course, for the markers. Very straightforward. You will have the keywords correct. Okay, but if your child really forgets the keywords. Okay, it's not a, oh, die already, you know, I cannot score. Okay, no, all right. It is possible to use their own words, and the markers will consider definitely, all right, whether this shows understanding of the concept. Okay, but however, if you listen carefully to the example quoted by the chief marker, and by the way, parents, there's not just one chief marker in Singapore. There are a lot of them. All right, if there are more than a dozen marking centers in Singapore. Okay, so there's many chief markers. So the principal that was interviewed, all right, he was in charge of one marking center, which is yeah, so it's only a smaller percentage of the total school. It doesn't represent the entire Singapore. But even in his example, right, if you listen carefully, okay, he actually say that, for example, you don't need to write the word evaporation. But if you can say that the water gains heat and change into water vapor, you get the mark. You don't need to write evaporation. But if the child say gain heat and change into water vapor, gain heat isn't it a keyword? Water vapor isn't that also a keyword? So in his example, he actually used two keywords to explain the concept. So what I'm trying to say is the keyword is not something that it's like there is a language to science. There's a language and there is a certain vocabulary, all right, that accompanies that topic, which your child needs to know. But if your child really don't know, all right, yes, the markers will still accept any words that can represent the concept correctly. Okay? Okay, so I go on. All right, here. Okay, so to conquer science questions, of course, these are the things that your child has to do. Identify key topic, key information, the right question term, the concept, the keywords, the answer technique. Okay, so to be very honest, in schools now, they all do this. Okay, but however, the consistency of these things being done, all right, is not regular in school because after all, science, the total number of science periods in school, parents, is only 6 to 8. It depends on your child's school. 6 to 8. So science has the same weightage as other subjects, but it has the least number of periods. Okay. So the way that the teacher goes through the question with them, right, definitely is a much less regular basis. So that's why a lot of children will say, yeah, I've heard of it. Then when the parents ask them, how come you didn't demonstrate the understanding? Why you never demonstrate the mastery? It's because at the end, there isn't enough practice. Okay. So to give you an example, English periods are actually 28 periods, but science is only 6. So it's a very big difference. Yes, definitely. The BlueTree students will be taught to answer the keywords from primary 5. But again, it depends a lot on the child. Some children, right, they come in, they already have certain way of answering the question. So sometimes the teachers, when we work with the children, right, we need to see where they are. We sometimes may need to correct their bad habits first before we can work on the keywords that they need to master. But definitely, keyword mastery is something, a skill that BlueTree students all must have. Okay, we drill a lot of that. Right, let me go on here. Okay, so some of the PSL question just to show you all the example. Welcome. Just to show you the example of how some of these application question can catch the children unaware. So this question, right, came out in 2018. And during that time, it was like, wow, like, you know, the children cannot answer. And even some of the teachers like, wow, what kind of question is this? Okay, some teachers don't even know that unripe bananas, green bananas have chlorophyll. Okay, but now, of course, a lot of them know already. Okay, so if you look at the textbook carefully, all right, all green parts contain chlorophyll. Okay, so parents, broccoli also, broccoli is a flower. Yeah, it's a flower. My husband buys it for me every Valentine's Day. And it contains chlorophyll. Okay, so this question, and you can see that if your child has very good annotation, okay, I always tell the children, analyze and annotate, analyze and annotate, analyze and annotate, you will score. If the children can annotate very well, all right, without looking at the question, I just green for chlorophyll. Then after that, if they can link to their concept, all green parts of the plant contains chlorophyll. Straight away they know, the green bananas can actually make food as CSC. So if they can make food, right, then what do they need? Then after that, when the question comes, it says curve upwards when growing. Okay, not difficult. Can, I can understand. they track more light to make food. Okay, so again, this question, right, is totally based on how your child analyze the question and link to their concept. If their concept is strong, right, this question is not difficult. It's very easy. In fact, this question is considered as a knowledge question, okay, parents, knowledge. But what happened is, when a lot of children, when they went in, they went like, I thought only leaves contain chlorophyll. You mean fruits also have? So this is where their content knowledge isn't as strong as we hope, we think, okay? So sometimes when we ask our children, ask a bit deeper, probe them, okay? Ask more, right? It's good that if you can read the textbook together with them or the science notes, right? Yeah, okay, let me go on here. Okay, next one. Okay, so you see, the first one is a knowledge question. The second one here, experiment type question. Okay, so this experiment type question, you need to use the key question term. And my dear parents, there is a trend. Okay, later I'll share more about experiment type question. So this is a very difficult experiment type question. So a lot of children, right, couldn't understand this. Okay, so this experiment question now, okay, just to quickly share. How do you know that it's one ripe and one unripe banana? Okay, experimental setup, you must have one change variable, one measured variable. Control setup, right, is just one measured variable. Okay, so this is their understanding about change and measured variable. And also, again, by the way, this is considered as a basic question. Okay, so this one here is the children are not aware of the experiment skills. Remember just now I showed you the assessment objectives. Number 2, you need to have a firm foundation in also process skills. They will also treat. Okay. Now, another PSLE question, okay, so same thing, you see that I will always underline the keyword, okay, underline the keyword, All right, so why did it become longer? Because sheet Z has more heat, so it becomes longer. Yeah, so the answer is wrong, because it's a wrong keyword. Longer is repeating the question term. Also never shows the understanding of heat transfer. So this one, the next one, has more contact surface with the heater, so it gains it faster, expanded more. This is correct. Okay, so again, how will the children know about what's contact surface area? How do they know that they need to use the word faster, slower? Okay, so again, they must know how to analyze the question term. You all see this word longer? I always tell the children, when you see the ER word coming out in the question, the ER word, compare or I cry. I tell them, this is a compare or I cry question. Must compare. So I will tell them, when you see this, definitely all these comparison terms, okay, must come out, right? And how do they know it's about contact surface area? Okay, because they can see from the diagrams that they are touching each other. Okay, so for science, right, it's not just about understanding the words, it's also how they interpret the diagram. Okay, so parents, when you are going through question with your children, right, don't go straight into the question. Always ask your child, check their understanding. A boy, a girl, 妹妹姐姐, okay, no, what do you understand from the question? Don't let them see the question. Cover the question. What do you understand from the diagram? What do you understand from the question term? Listen to their analysis first. You will be very surprised, that many times, right, your child's analysis is different from yours. Okay, so you have to train their analysis skills, all right, before you go to the question itself, right? Before you work on the keywords, before you work on the answering technique, right? Okay, so this one here is another example. So a lot of children will say heat flows to the inner wall first. Oh, but that is also wrong, because they ask you, how come the inner wall was hotter? So this is another compare or I cry. So the answer is too general already. Yeah, correct. Never use the word expand, so it's wrong. Correct. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So 1 mark question is 1 or 0, parents. 1 or 0, usually no half mark one, no half mark. Okay. So you see this question here, you have to use the word gain more heat and then expand more. All right. Okay. Okay. So I'm just showing you some examples of the PSLE questions that your child has to handle. All right. And these are not even considered as challenging. These are quite common. All right. Quite common. Okay. All right. Okay. So are you okay? So far so good, parents? Okay, because I want to show you good tips, okay, coming up very soon. All right.